All right, here with our Thursday night tailgate and talking today to John Hart at Brownsburg. And John tells me you're 10th year at Brownsburg now. It's hard to believe it's been that long, but the changes that have gone on here with the facilities and really in the last year or two, just walking through the locker room here, just incredible how much things have changed, and just really the whole school looks a heck of a lot different than it did. But really nice facilities here. And I know you're excited to get started. Already to get started, but to kind of do that, what was that like on Friday night to, kind of see the new stadium spruced up like it is?
The atmosphere was incredible. And I know probably 6,000 people, and you're playing a great team from out of state and opening up the facilities. And to be honest, they had everything planned down to the last second. And we celebrated the 84-85 state championship team. Our wrestling team last year won it. So they did a state championship recognition, and it's phenomenal. Brownsburg, and I'm not telling you anything new. It's just a very, very great place to live right now.
And it's the stadium, I think it was one of the last, grass fields, probably in 6A. It's not that anymore. It's the press box is pretty small. It's not that anymore. So it just looks like almost like a college setup. Like a lot of the schools have undergone facility changes here recently, but I don't know if it changes the results on the field necessarily for you guys. You still got to go out and play, but can you sense a change and just sort of the kids, I'm sure, love what they see here.
Well, you and I talked earlier. The facilities were so far the other side 10 years ago. Jim Snap had that vision of what he was going to turn this school into, and the follow through by Dr. Gay and Dr. Jessup have been incredible. And the details that they put into this place is maybe even better than what the naked eye sees. And this and the community supports it. The people who are excited about the football program and the facilities that they've built around the school and stuff. I hear comments of 100 to 1 on positives.
And Brownsburg, I should have mentioned this up off the top. 1-0 after last week, played Archbishop Spalding out of Maryland, a nationally ranked team. I want to touch on some things. Brownsburg defending Class 6A champs too. But first of all, I wanted to ask you about that game. How did that? It's in the past, you couldn't play this game because of the IHSA rule. Now you can bring teams in from outside the mile radius that still exists for traveling away to away games, but you can bring teams in from wherever. How did this game kind of come about? What was the connection there, and what led to even playing this game?
Well, it's kind of one of those things that when bad things happen, if you just have faith, good things are going to come out of it. So originally it was, we were supposed to play Cincinnati Moeller, and then Moeller canceled on us. So we get into a spin and Jeffersonville comes open. Well, we knew that Jeffersonville would probably have a better fit with somebody else, and we would, but we secured the game. And then I kind of kept on the look for teams searching for week one. And then when I seen Spalding came open, their coach and I just kind of got together. And then after that point, our athletic department took it and set it up. And it was a great win for us because we're either away at Jeffersonville or home with 6,000 people. And I can tell you financially what that means, but it means a lot to the program too. Win or loss, it wouldn't have changed my thought process of, was this a win getting to play an out-of-state team? Really, weeks 1 and 2, I don't know why anytime we don't have an opportunity that both us and the team that we have scheduled, Cathedral and us used to do this a lot. I hope we do it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I love, big games early in the season. Why not play these? But I didn't know what to expect. I'm sure you kind of didn't either. You're playing. We don't, really know what Maryland high school football is like necessarily. We know they're a great team and they've produced a ton of talent. But from your perspective of your team going against them, what did you kind of take away? There ended up being 36-23. I know Brandon Sharp had a huge game and Oscar Fry had really good numbers. Your running game looked. All three running backs had good games, but how overall do you feel like you guys played?
Well, and we kind of ran away from it. It was 36-17 till late. We put in our seconds, and they did what they need to do. You kind of rebuild and refocus. And so they scored a touchdown late on us. If you would have gave me 100-1 odds, I would have bet the other way as far as how close this game is going to be and the opportunity for them to kind of run away from us. They have 5 power 4 guys. Now the big thing they had last year, the quarterback who's going to be starting for Maryland is a true freshman, graduated. So the guy that won the 2 state championships as a quarterback graduated. So we really didn't know how to defend what they were going to do. We knew the sets and stuff, but 2 different quarterbacks makes it completely different. So we really didn't know what was going to happen. They kind of turned into a power game, and the touchdown they scored, they did just kind of shove it down our throats before half. That really concerned us. We came out and made some adjustments in the second half, and I thought defended the run really well.
And this is a team, John. I wanted to, last year, you win a state championship. It hadn't been done here in a long, long time. And you honored that 85 team the other night. But I know from your, doing the preview and kind of what you said in there, it's a different team. It's you have the target on you now that you've done it. And early test, you guys responded pretty well to that. Do you sense this team can kind of, become its own team going into this year?
I really do. And we kind of did it in the off season. And I'm never a guy that equates things to wins and losses. And I always think programs and, competition and competing and then the wins and losses, it just happens. And I knew when we set all of our weightlifting records, and then we call them clubs, and then we speed-wise with what, Coach Poppenfuss does with speed, we were faster than last year and we were stronger. Now, that doesn't always equate to wins. Otherwise, a faster and stronger team always wins. But it does put you in the right direction. And they had to start competing to kind of get those records. So I think the competition thing is we're in the same level.
And having a returning starting, I know Oscar kind of split time last year, but having that experience, not really split time. He played a lot last year and led your team to a lot of wins. And you had Yosua who came in and gave you a great boost. But what's it mean to have an experienced quarterback at the 6A level?
Well, I think experience and great leader. I think that's what he is. It's what Yosua was. And people always say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. And I think that's true most of the times because you're trying to decide between, who's the best as opposed to, hey, do I have two great players here? How do I play both of them? And most years it clarifies itself. It didn't last year, and it gave us a great chance to do some things and unique things. Oscar's taken this team, and I don't think anybody has any doubts about his competition. He's so much more athletic and stronger than he was last year. I'm really surprised, regardless of stats or anything else, that more people have not offered on him because I think he has the full package.
Yeah, and Oscar, when you talk to him, you think you're talking to like a 40-year-old man. He's extremely mature, very polished, and I think he obviously takes what he's doing very seriously. So you don't have to worry about that from him, I would think.
No, just a great leader, great kid.
And you got John. I know you're, and I hope people didn't take it the wrong way. You lost a lot on defense, and I've written about that. I know they're talented kids, but we just didn't know for not a ton of experience on that side other than a few guys. But sounds like held up really well. There is a lot of talent on that side of the ball. How do you feel like the defense played against that Spalding team?
Well, the D-line is key for us. I think it always will be as long as I'm a part of the staff. And to be honest, Dami Sawami, I can't ever say the last name very well, but Dami is an incredibly talented player. And he didn't have his best game. So I think we could get better. And that's a good sign. Tremel Jennings had a huge game and played a lot like Alex Burke did last year, was an all-state football player. I think our secondary has a lot bigger high end than what it showed last week. So I think that defense has a chance to become really, really special. And, Jamin Cole and DJ Golson both had really good games, but I think they both know there's a higher end there.
With what, how does last year carry over? I was, asked, because there is, obviously some of these guys took part in the state championship. That's got to mean something, I think. But how does that change the, kind of the ceiling maybe, or knowing that you've been there before? Does that change your, within the program a little bit, some of the kids' mindset on things?
Well, I think it gives them a little bit more security, a little bit more, hey, we don't have to be perfect to win. I think what last year's team did was show a lot of grit, and I think it taught our younger groups what grit was. I know at halftime, and it was 10-7. I think they scored right at the end. It was 14-10, and they scored a field goal right at the end, but we held them out. And so, which was pretty exciting, but yet you could kind of tell a little bit of uneasiness in the locker room. And then by the time we got done at halftime with adjustments and stuff, I felt really good coming out of the locker room.
Yeah. And that was 6A. There's always the game where you don't, it's kind of hanging in the balance. No 6A team, I think, just always runs through all of their games. You had several of those, and sometimes it goes that way. I know, when Center Grove's had some years like that, or Ben Davis definitely has had those years, but that can only help. I mean, it maybe doesn't help in the moment where you're having to fight these battles through fourth quarter, and but you had so many of those games. I would assume that's got to help. Hey, we're in a tough spot. We've done this before.
We had 9 games that was won on the last possession of the game, which is absolutely just crazy. So yeah, I do think it taught us a lot. And then you start talking about how you separate so that you're not leaving everything in balance. If it becomes that, let's go out and fight it. But if you separate yourselves a little bit and you're up by 10 points instead of 7 points or 6 points, then that game changes its complexity. They become the hunted, and that's what you want. You want to be the hunters, and we talk about that a lot.
Well, John Hart, again, he had his 350th win also on Friday night, which I didn't mention, but pretty awesome. That's a pretty high number that I guess shows your experience, but you've had a lot of wins in your career.
Well, to be honest, I've been in a lot of great places, whether it be here or Warren or Wrights or Mount Carmel and Huntley in Illinois and Edwards County. I've been in a lot of great places. And just like here, the community and the school helped us kind of build a program. And, we got several teachers, in the school, and we've developed something that I think is pretty special here.
And let's talk a little bit about Cathedral. It's a team that, they won 8-0 on Friday. I talked to Bill Peoples last week, and it was kind of funny. He got a text from his wife and found out that he had 2 grandkids that just been born. So that was exciting. So, but I know, that team, John, I know they're a group that very solid, very good on the lines, especially. And then they can run the ball. They did that against Ben Davis, and they have a very good secondary as well. So present some challenges, I'm sure, for you guys on Friday. But what do you see out of that team as you watch them on film this week?
Before I get to that, congrats to Coach Peoples on the grandkid. That's awesome. My youngest son, they're about ready to have another baby. Coach Pops and his wife Kelsey are about ready to have one as well. So the family just keeps getting bigger, and it's all special time. That kind of reminds me of old Cathedral, to be honest. When I say old Cathedral, maybe 5-6 years ago, where they ran a lot of they had a bunch of big guys, and they run really, really hard. Their running backs are, I think, 2 of the most physical running backs you'll see. And then they boot off of it. So they make you stay honest. If you get aggressive, they boot. If you don't stay aggressive, they just maul you. And that's what they did. They took the ball away from Ben Davis. I felt like Ben Davis had the ball 10 times the whole game. And I thought that game looked a lot that Cathedral had separated themselves a lot in the game, even though not on the scoreboard.
Right. I know they missed some opportunities. That score probably could have been a little bit more lopsided than it ended up being. But this will be a fun game. Yeah, I would assume, you're going to have a great crowd again. It should be great weather tomorrow on Friday night, and I think another big crowd. But from a standpoint of getting ready to play, your HCC schedule, your sectional you're going to have, what Cathedral kind of fits right in line with a lot of those teams you'll see upcoming.
Yeah, they are an HCC team. I mean, if you just look at, they're good in all programs. They're great in some programs. They would fit right in, with us. It's a great challenge, man. And Coach Peoples and his staff. To be honest, I love those guys. I am Catholic, so I get to say bad things about them and good things. I think it's permissible. But Barth and Coach Barth and Coach Pryor and all those guys, we're all kind of good friends. But I think the biggest thing is we have mutual respect for our programs.
To me, the key will be, you're a very explosive team who can control the ball and score from on the big plays. They didn't really do that as much against Ben Davis, but we know how they can control the ball and run the ball. And Pat, you mentioned Pappas and Dangerfield, both really good running backs. Pappas got hurt a little bit last year, probably would have had a chance to have 1,000-yard season as well. But that'll be a challenge for you guys. And is that something you feel you're pretty well equipped to stop the run game this year?
I think what we did in the second half helped us a lot, and so we made some adjustments, and I'm sure Cathedral has seen that. So how we defend that and still stay sound, because like I said, they remind you of an old Jim Harbaugh Stanford team, and they do it really, really well, just like he did. So that'll be our challenge. If we match them physically, or we're more physical, then I like our chances. I will say this: special teams has decided this game every single. We separated last year, but we had like 3 special team big plays, and that's what we won by.
Yeah.
So I hate to sound corny, but that special teams part because I think they're outstanding. Dan Schwanenkamp, I think, is the best special teams coach in the state. I think he's outstanding. So it's a great battle between those two guys and that group of players.
And covering high school football, man, the difference in special teams can be huge in high school football. And the teams who have good ones and good kickers and punters, and I saw Senator Grove's kicker and punter last week was excellent. That changed the game, and it's something we don't talk about enough. But I know you guys as coaches definitely look for that, especially when these close games, they could be decided by 1 or 2 possessions.
There's no doubt. And sometimes it's just a punt. We do have a great punter in Will Orlando. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't land on a D1 school someplace. But, man, Cathedral comes after him too. So they blocked one last week. It was really kind of the difference in the game.
I wanted to ask you lastly, John, about your sons who are both in the coaching business too. Derek is now at Jasper. Nick has got a juggernaut there at Gibson Southern. Are you able to get to any games this year, or probably not with both you guys playing on Friday nights?
He plays in Illinois Powerhouse, which would be a couple classes higher than where he's at now this week, and it's on Saturday. So at least I get to watch it on the computer. But Derek, I think there's one game I'll maybe get to see him at the sectional when we have a draw. But yeah, I'm really proud of those guys, man. And it's phenomenal to watch them grow, and how the communities and the kids respond to them is, like I said, it's more important than wins and losses and championships, because it just means something different.
When you ever decide to give it up, or do you have a spot on one of their staffs that have they promised you anything? Or
well, we were talking ironically, and it's been a couple of years ago, and I go, you know what, man, I think I'd like to be a D-line coach again. I said, I just might come and be your D-line coach, Nick. And Nick goes, haven't offered you a job yet. So I don't know if I have an opening or not, but coaching with them, or Coach Casey Poppenfuss will be the next head coach here. Coaching for him, I would feel equally the same.
Well, I think you'd at least get an interview out of it. Nick would probably give you an interview, maybe.
I don't know. That dude's tough now.
That's a big vetting process there too. But yeah, they're really Gibson Southern's excellent team. They're that sectional down there will be a dynamite. Actually, Heritage Hills moved up to 4A, but still have 3 top 10 teams down there to deal with. But they'll have a good chance, I would think, to advance. And again, Brownsburg Cathedral at Brownsburg on Friday night should be a great atmosphere and a great game. Brownsburg ranked number 1 in 6A. Cathedral's number 2 actually in 5A now. So You've got two powerhouse teams going at it. And John, appreciate you joining me here again on the Thursday Night Tailgate.
Appreciate it, Kyle.
You bet. John Hart for joining us here on the Thursday Night Tailgate. Brownsburg, again, they're hosting Cathedral on Friday night, week 2, coming off that big win over Archbishop Spalding. Some other things just to kind of wrap up here. A few things I'm looking for on Friday night. I think the big one, probably Westfield Carmel. Can Carmel keep it going? Going to be a big crowd out there on Friday night. Should be phenomenal environment, and then it should be a great game. I mean, Westfield ranked number 2 in Class 6A. Carmel now ranked number 7, cracked into the top 10 this week in our USA Today poll. So, can Carmel match up? Can they stack up with Westfield? I think it should be a phenomenal matchup. Kevin Wright coming in as coach, and now going against Josh Miracle in his second year. And strangely enough, Westfield's kind of become the team to beat on the north side of that bracket these last few years. So, Carmel trying to get back to that point. It used to be the other way, or kind of flipped around the other way. So that'll be a phenomenal game. I picked Westfield to win that game. You can find my picks on IndyStar.com, 24-21. I did pick Westfield, but I could really see that game going either way. Again, Brownsburg I had beating Cathedral 28-17. I think Cathedral can, kind of the key for them, I think, will be to control the ball, have success in the run game, and then be able to hit a couple big plays. Brownsburg typically does that with Brandon Sharp and Oscar Fry and Avon Robinson in that group. So they'll try to keep the ball out of their hands as much as possible. And then the New Pal Decatur Central game, I think, is one to watch, even though, unfortunately, Bo Polston out with an injury for Decatur Central, got hurt at the end of that Avon game. Hopefully he's back here in a few weeks, but they're definitely going to miss him. I mean, that's a huge loss. You lose your starting quarterback, experienced guy in a game where New Pal, obviously they're loaded with talent. Number 1 in Class 5A. Decatur Central dropped out of the top 10 last week in 6A, but still a lot of talent on that team. And I think that's going to be still a game to watch. I said New Pal 31-24. Decatur Central's not, without talent. They've still got players, Casimir Hicks, Pharrell Carter, those guys. I mean, they can still give you trouble. So I think that'll be one to watch. And then, a couple others, Roncalli at Franklin Central, kind of a South Side battle. Both teams played well in the season opener. Franklin Central won over Perry Meridian handily, and Roncalli that 3-0 win over Dwenger. I said Franklin Central 17-14 in that one. And Fishers Lawrence North, I think, could be a game of a lot of offense and some points on the board. I took LN 31-28, but again, I think that Fishers offense will have some success in this game and keep them in it. And then obviously LN's got a ton of talent on their side, on their offense as well. Some other games just to kind of round it out here. Center Groves makes a trip to Fort Wayne Carroll. That could be interesting. Avon's at Ben Davis. That'll surely be a game to watch. And then North Central, can they keep it going against HSC? A lot. Kind of a big jump here to dive into week 2. North Central taking some momentum though after beating Brebeuf, and HSC beat Carroll in the opener 14-7. I'm curious about Zionsville LC. I think that's sort of an even battle. And then Cascade and Danville in Hendricks County, that'll be a great game. I think that one could go down to the wire as well. And then Warren and Warsaw up at Warsaw this year. Pendleton Heights, Guerin Catholic are some of the other games. Crown Point comes down here to play Pike. That could be another game to watch as well. But all of the predictions at IndyStar.com we're going to do a live show on Friday nights at 11 o'clock roughly, or hopefully right at 11. But we'll have some folks who've been out covering games on Friday night on with me, and we'll kind of break it down with what we know at that point in the night. But yeah, so check back here. We'll have coverage from Friday night, obviously at IndyStar.com throughout the weekend and into next week as well. But again, Kyle Netter up here for the Indy Star. Thanks again to John Hart for coming on our Thursday night tailgate, and we'll be back with you, like I said, Friday night, and then do this again next week as well. So thanks a lot.